Okay, people. So, thanks to the great folks at DDA, right? And Universal, just got back from seeing My Big Fat Greek Wedding free. Yes, the third part of the saga is soon to drop in cinemas. So this is directed by Nia Vardalos, and she wrote the piece as well, right? It is produced by the original crew, right? This was a big, it's funny, this was a big reunion film, essentially, right? Because we have got Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson, and Gary Gutman back on producing duties. It is executive produced by Nia Vardalos. I've got Stephen Sharjan, Scott Niemeyer, Michael P. Flanagan, and Paul Brooks, with Jonathan Shaw on co production. Music was handled by Stephanie Numu. Barry Peterson handled the cinematography, right? Annette Davey and Craig Herring edited the piece. Production design, we got Grant Armstrong, right? Art decoration is Daphne Kalagani and Matthew Keary. Right, set decoration, we got Cloris George and Michael Standish. Right, Timothy A. Wanzik, costume design. Hair and makeup, we've got Ayula Sigrimi, Kathleen Shugru, Alex Priftis, Alexandra Maita, uh, Kairaki Meladu, Rula Linanu, and Georgia Apoldamia. Oh man, I know I'm butchering names, people. I apologize. Right? So, yeah, as mentioned, right? It is a bit of a reunion, right? It's a bit of reunion behind the scenes and in front, right? Which means, you know, the Portokalos family are back, right? So Nia Vardalos is Toula. Her husband Ian, played by John Corbett, right? Their daughter Paris is played by Elena Kampouris. Okay, so her brother, Nia's brother Nick, is played by Louis Mandylor, who actually was on UFC Unfiltered um, this week, right? Which I've completely forgotten. He was in this. Yeah, UFC Unfiltered, really good episode. Go listen if you enjoy MMA. Anyway, right? Um, yeah, Tallulah and Nick's mum, Maria, is played by Lainey Kazan. Um, their aunt Vola was played by Andrea Martin. No, Andrea Martin is their played Maria, the sister, right? Their aunt Valola was played by Maria Vacatratis. Um, no, I am right. Sorry. Yes. No. Yeah. Maria is Aunt Valola. Yeah. Boy, it gets very confusing. I always have trouble with families, man. Too many people. Um, do, 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 do. Yeah, the Joey Fatone. Yeah. Do, do, do. Nikki is played by Gia Carides, and Angelo is played by Joey Fatone, right? Aristotle is played by Elias Kakavas, right? That's Paris's ex. Victory, who is a cousin of the Portokalos family, is played by Melina Kutsalu, and Omar is played by Stephanie Nia, right? Who else do we have? Peter is played by Alexis Gorgalios. Oh, yeah, I said Omar. It's Kumar, right? Stephanie plays Kumar. Christos is played by Giannis Vistalutus. Alexandra is played by Amphi Andrapoulou, right? Yeah, I think we'll stop there. I am really being horrendous with these names, so yes, I apologize. Right, so the gist of the film is this: the Portokalos family heads to Greece for a family reunion, and while there, right, Toula attempts to locate her deceased father's childhood friends. So yes, that's the gist, people. That's the gist, right? So when you think about this franchise, 2002, April 2002 was when the original film hit. Little indie. It's a little train that did good, right? I feel that's the expression. Directed by Joel Zwick. Then, right, 14 years later, March 2016, we get the second entry, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. This time, Kirk Jones handles direction duties. So, yeah, this time, not such a big gap, right? Not such a big gap. It's 7 years, and we get the third entry. So, Nia, right? She wrote the previous two, and this time she took over directing duties as well as the writing. So supposedly back then, back in 2016, there was actually an idea for this third film. Now, unfortunately, things changed, right? Because Michael Constantine, who plays Gus in the previous films, passed away in 2021. So things changed, but they still were able to make the film. They were still able to make the film. And I think fans of the previous two will be happy to reconnect, right? Happy to reconnect with the fam, right? With the Portokalos clan, right? So we open up with this kind of photo montage along with the credits. Now, I'm not quite sure, right? Because, I sit in the front row, but it's still hard to see things sometimes. So I'm not sure if all of these photos were connected with Gus. I feel that would be a nice touch, right? To open up with this kind of montage. Because that's the kind of thing, right? Because we're at a wake for Gus. and then it's a point of going to Greece. So that would be nice, you know. But the essence of this film, right? It's the reunion and all of this. It is family, right? It's that look at family, that connective tissue, what brings people together and what keeps them together, you know? Now, I think one of the big things with this is, right, because in the first film, Tallulah and Ian get married, right? In the second film, this one is all about Gus and Maria reaffirming their nuptials. Yeah. And the second film, it was 17 years after the first, right? We get that time frame. In this third film, we don't necessarily get a time frame. And there's not necessarily a wedding that we know about, right? But it's still my big fat Greek wedding. So what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? But yeah, as I said, look, this is all about family. This is all about connective tissue. So we get all of those, the things that we've seen in previous films about how these people, connect with each other. The in jokes, the Alexander the Great, right? Just all of those things. But with Gus gone, the hierarchy has changed, right? Things have changed. So it's, how do they function now? Right? Gus is the head of the family. How do they function? Who's the new head of the family? Right? Who's steering the ship? That's what this is. And as I said, I think fans will be happy to see that. It's funny, at the very start, we have Tallulah. There's like some narration as we see, different parts of New York, and they're traveling and that kind of thing. And it's talking about being an immigrant family and how they get together and work together. But as time goes by, you drift apart slowly, right? You drift apart slowly. But they're Greek, so there's always this thing. They cook with love, they do things. And the funny thing is, right, because I think it doesn't really matter the culture, right? Whoever you're talking to, they might be, Jamaican, Nigerian, German, Polish, wherever. But it's always like, even when you think regionally, right, internally in a country, right? Like people from a certain area, it's just like, oh, up north, this is how we cook. But everyone will say, we cook with love. We cook with love, right? With passion, with heart. We do these things. We connect as a family. We do. No one's ever, I mean, our culture, we're bad cooks. No one likes cooking. We cook with hate in our hearts. No one says that, But that's the thing. And so they're planning to go to Greece, right? And they do have a travel company, but the planning isn't, I wouldn't say the planning's the best. I would not say the planning is the best on this, because who books a trip without accommodation, people? Who books a trip without accommodation? But when they get to Greece, it is like, it's a tourist board advertisement. We see, and we get it all the time, right? When we do things in, you see things set in London, they go past the Big Ben, the House of Parliament, the London Eye, they'll go past Greenwich, and sometimes you think, actually getting to that place, you're not going past that place. Like, who would take that long ass jet to go past Greenwich to get to? That's a crazy, you know what I mean? But we see all the big spots, which I've got to say, right? It does make you go, oh man, I would love to see that. I'd love to see that in person. So you sometimes you'll roll your eyes and be like, oh look, they're rolling out the Pantheon, but it works. It does work, right? It's just like, God damn it, I still haven't been yet. I need to see that. Definitely need to go. But we get all of these hijinks, the transportation, just being in the homeland for them, right? That's what the family return to the homeland, right? And they're going to stay in the village where Gus grew up, right? And as mentioned, Toula is looking for his best friends, right? She's returning his diary to the best friends. So we see them in, this village, right? Inhabiting this village, how all of these things work, right? It's not like New York. It's not the hustle and bustle. There's no millions of people living there. So there's all of this. It's the reunion, right? Looking up family, just all of these things. And so, I mean, that's the selling point, right? Now, I wouldn't say this film was for me, right? There were certain things that I wasn't quite sure about, right? Because, as I said, there's no time frame from the second film to this film. Maybe there was and I missed it. But they've been together for, let's say, at least 25 years. Let's just say that. We'll put a number on it, 25 years. Maybe 20. But Ian still doesn't know fucking Greek, right? He's like, oh, I know a few words. He still doesn't really know Greek, which is insane to me. I'm just like, yo, how do you not, like, these are Greeker than Greek people, you know what I mean? So that you do not know the language is bonkers, right? Because I'd be trying to learn the language just because, it's the woman I love, right? So I'm showing an effort, right? But also, I want to make sure they're not cussing me behind my back, right? You know what I mean? Be like, you walk in and be like, hey, how you doing? And they'll be like, oh, hey, and you're like, Toulouse like, oh, they said you look very smart today. Really? They're like, oh, this jackass is still here? Haven't you found someone better yet? Right? So I'd be looking to learn the language just to make sure. Right? So I'd understand if it was just like, oh, I can't write it, because I think learning to speak something is easier than learning to write it. So that I would get. So yeah, I'm kind of finding it a little bonkers that homie doesn't know. Then there's just other little bits like, the whole accommodation booking, the looking up the friends, right? Because you think there are tools for that. Even if it was just social media, there are tools, there are things, that we can use. And it's a minor thing. Well, there's two minor things, but there's a bit where only two people use the shower. And I'm like, yo, in a normal spot, right? In a normal spot, right? Or even if you're in Antarctica, let's just say, it's a little funky, right? It's not the best. But when you are in a hot climate, and Greece is hot. So I haven't been to Greece. I've been to Crete. Crete was, whew, oh my days. It was so fucking hot. So hot, people. So I think I probably showered 3 times a day. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, to not have a shower? after going out, that is horrendous, right? And there's another bit where they go out partying, but a few of these characters are in bed, and they get up and they don't change. And I'm like, wait, you went out in your pajamas? You went to a nightclub in your pajamas? What is happening? Right? What is happening, people? You know what I mean? But yeah, they're just minor things, right? Just minor things. There's bits of the script where I just thought, it felt a little bit forced. Sometimes it felt a little shouty, like but it's different cultures, different ways of communicating, I guess. But as mentioned, right, it's a family film, so I think if you are fans of the previous, and I really like the first film, I haven't actually seen the second, to be honest with you, but I would say, like, if you really enjoyed those two previous films, right, you are with this clan, I think this film will be perfect for you. I think it will, reconnect you with everyone, introduce you to these new characters, and you get to see, this newest chapter. Now, is it the final chapter? I don't know, right? I do feel there are potential possibilities and potential other weddings. You know what I mean? Because it does seem to be the franchise, you need a wedding, right? So I think there are potential other weddings to be had, you know? So and I guess it all depends on how well this does. Like these films aren't huge budget films. So if this fan base really connects, previous films have done very well. So, hey, I imagine if, all goes well, there could be a fourth entry, but who knows? Who knows? All I do know, people, is this Friday, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 drops. So you get to, as mentioned, reconnect with the clan in cinemas. Find out how these crazy motherfuckers will do in a foreign country, right? In the homeland, to be precise. How do they cope with the death of Gus? Right? And what other issues come up? Can they actually get out the airport? Right? Do they know how to use an airport door? Right? All of that will become clear when you go to the cinema and watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3.